Here we go, another episode of Bikes and Mics, and today we got my good friend, man, Timothy. His name's not Timothy.
Timotheus. I go Timotheus.
Timotheus.
Yeah.
I call him Tim though, man. He's a community role model, man. He's a total badass, and I met him outside of biking. And one day I was pedaling and I looked to my right and I was like, Tim and his son. I was like, what the hell? I was like, Tim, what are you doing here, man? He's like, oh, I bike, bro. And he started talking about his crazy bike collection. So the first thing we're going to do is get into his bike collection, because this bike, he's got a Haro Freestyler Master, bro. Talk about this badass bike.
This is my latest build. This is going to be my last build.
Why the last one?
Because if I'll get divorced if it's not my last one.
You can sell one and build another, right?
Actually, I have like 3 bikes for sale right now. But I've just been looking for that perfect rider. I just came off of a racing, 29-inch racing.
Yeah.
And there were some things I didn't like about it. So I started on Haro, and I thought, dude, I got to go back to Haro, man. That's where my heart is, you know.
Was that the first bike or brand that you bought when you were a kid?
That was the first bike that I bought. Yeah, the first bike that I actually rode as an adult, like at 52 or 50.
What about a kid? Let's start as a kid.
As a kid, I had As a kid, we didn't have a lot. So I mean, we didn't have a lot of money, like buying bikes. So I had my dad bought me a Japanese bike. It was called Nataka. Which they're kind of rare right now, and they're worth a lot of money. But back then, you know, nobody really gave a shit about a Nataka. So
what year was this?
This is like 79.
Oh, 1979. Were the Huffies were they around yet?
It was like Team Murray. Huffy was there.
Team Murray, I remember those.
So, you know, those were like the lower end bikes. But, you know, if you had a GT or you had, you know, Mongoose or Diamondback, like that was like you were driving a Ferrari.
Bro, I had a Huffy and I thought I was like the king of the world.
Did you really? Yeah. My bike was like super heavy. It was like probably as heavy as that boat right there. But you know, I was out there racing, man, and we had a good time with it. You know.
Yeah. Where did the racing take you far?
No.
Was it all track?
Yeah, we had some friends on the north side of town, like these white kids that were rich, and behind their house, their dad built them a track. So we would ride all the way across town and then race and then ride all the way back when I was a kid. So that was like a real big thing.
So that was your first bike, and then as an adult, what'd you end up picking up?
I didn't ride, man. I started skateboarding, and then I got away from bikes, and then when I got...
Wait, you were skateboarding like in the 80s and 90s?
Yeah.
Oh, dude, before we get into that, we got to talk about the history, because San Diego played a very important role in skateboarding.
I didn't know that until I moved to San Diego. But when I was a kid, like...
Where are you from originally?
Fresno,
okay.
Yeah.
And it wasn't a big deal skateboarding out there?
Skateboarding was a big deal, but it was like, you know, it was every little California town, right? It wasn't like San Diego, I can imagine. It was, or Long Beach or any of those places, but...
Did you get a chance to skate like in those world famous, you know, pools that they talked about in Spring Valley?
I did a pool once, and I ate it hard. And we used to do, like, we had this friend who had a ramp out in the country, so we used to go to the country and ride the ramp every once in a while. But yeah, I wasn't like a great skater. I just loved skating, you know. And I think, I mean, by nature, I was a runner, so I used to like skate across town. That was my way of getting around town.
Yeah.
And that's how I am with bikes now too. I think I just want to ride far and fast, you know. So I wasn't like a trick guy. I wasn't one of those dudes, but you know,
But San Diego was definitely like
San Diego, like an
epic center for skateboarding.
When I moved here, I was like, Tony Hawk's from here, dude. Like during COVID, me and my kids went to go get tested for COVID at San Marcos State, and Caballero was there.
Steve Caballero
was just hanging out right there. We were in line with them, and I was like, "Wow,
he's badass." I see him at the Linda Vista skate park all the time.
Yeah, and then Mike McGill, like all this. I mean, this is a mecca of BMX and skating.
You do also a lot of giving back, and right now that you're bringing up skateboarding, I just thought about Dennis Martinez with Love Thy Neighbor. He's always he's always coming out and supporting that, and you're big on Love Thy Neighbor. How important is it to give back to the community for you, man? Because you're always giving back.
Dude, it's amazing, man. That should be a big part of everybody's life, I think. You know, I was inspired by Ruben Torres, our friend.
Shout out to Ruben, that's my brother.
And, you know, my dad was my role model. My parents were my role model when it came to giving back, you know. And my dad used to always say, like, you just never know who comes across or who needs help. If that's Jesus, that might be Jesus one day. And I always had that in my mind, like, it might be Jesus.
Yeah.
So when I came into contact with Ruben, you guys, I was like, dude, I'm in 100%, you know, and it inspires me. It inspires me to see people doing good, and you know, I mean, I'm that person that always says, if you invest in your community, you'll have an awesome community. And I think we have an amazing community here in San Diego.
Yep.
And we have a lot of good people giving back. You know, Fever is one. You know, like, there's a lot of good people out there doing a lot of good. So I think it's definitely should be something that everybody does on a day to day.
Since you started picking up biking, man, what's the longest? Because you're with Roots riders, and they ride different. That's their motto. We ride different. That's their motto. So what's the? You guys do like at least 100 miles on one ride, right?
These guys are trying to do century rides all the time, which is cool.
You done those yet?
I haven't done a century. I was going to do a century this last time they did from Huntington Beach to San Diego.
Huntington Beach to San Diego. For those that don't know, that's about a 120, 150 mile ride?
No, it's all the way to the border. It would have been close to 100. Yeah, or if it's 100 to Chula Vista.
100 miles.
Yeah, 100 miles.
So it's nothing new for them because you guys ride from like the South Bay to like La Jolla and back or Oceanside, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Bro, where's your son at, man? We need to get him on here.
He's been playing basketball, man. He played basketball his first year in high school.
Yeah.
So he's been doing focusing on that. But now that he's out of season, I'm gonna have him come out again.
Talk about his builds because he's got some builds that bro. Does he realize what kind of builds he's got?
So he was another person that got me into the bike world because when I was a kid I had a crazy cheap lowrider bike. So when he came into my life, I was like, all right, we gotta have a lowrider bike, right?
You guys build them with Steve?
Steve over at Lowrider Expressions.
Yeah, shout out to Steve, man. I love that dude.
So we became. My son was part of the Lowrider Expressions family. So was I.
Yeah.
And we had a nice show build, and then then he was like, I want to ride BMX, so I got him a bike. He has a Racing 26. It's pretty nice, pretty clean, super light. It's like a race bike. But he's definitely been somebody that's been with me. And
hell yeah.
Trying to get my daughter out, but
soon.
Yeah.
All right. To wrap this up, man, we always like to make sure that we get like a positive quote, positive affirmation. What positive quote you got for those folks that are watching right now?
Oh man, I didn't even think about that. I would say
it comes from the heart. You got to think about it.
I would say just don't be scared to don't be afraid to keep your hand out to your neighbor or to your person next to you. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Everybody's dealing with something in their life, and they don't show it. They don't tell you. You don't know, but just always keep that hand out to them because you may need that hand one day. And it's just good. It's just good practice to love your neighbor, man. I mean, there's no other way to say it. Just love your neighbor.
Hell yeah. Where do they follow you at? Where do they find you at?
I'm on Instagram at Timoteus Fo 70.
Timoteus' real name?
Well, Timoteus is my little side
Oh,
name.
okay. All right.
I go by Timoteus, man.
Timoteus, okay. Where does that name stem from, man? Because that's a unique name. Because when people think like, oh, that's a pretty unique name.
I studied history, man, and I was always taken by like the Romans, emperors' names. And when I moved here, I became Timoteo. My friends would call me Timoteo, and they'd call me Camoteo.
Camoteo.
And then I was like Timoteo, Timoteus. And I'm like, okay, So it has a Roman flair to it. So I was like Timoteus, and then Timoteus Fo. So I had a website. It was Friends versus Foes. So I was like, okay, Timoteus Fo, and then that
came together.
Yeah.
Hell yeah, man! Make sure you check out the Roots Riders as well. And you guys ride Mondays and Wednesdays. And
hey, can I say thank you to you, man?
Why? You're welcome.
Honestly, man,
I'm like, yeah, what's up?
You're one of the individuals you're the one person. Or you're one of a number of people in this city that makes San Diego great, man.
Oh, thank you.
And I really, from the bottom of my heart, I really appreciate you, dude.
Thank you, bro. I appreciate you too,
man.
And
I always talk about you to people that don't know you, man. I'm always like, the guy's awesome. He's doing a lot of stuff here, man. It's a pleasure riding with you.
Thank you, bro. And the funny part was that I never wanted to mix biking with any of this blogging stuff, but my compadre convinced me to. He said, man, people need to hear these stories because this is my therapy, man. This is where I get out. This is where I escape from everything that goes on. So, thank you, bro. I appreciate that, man. I always get weirded out when people compliment me or say something,
dude,
man. But
and my wife doesn't hang out with you, and my wife always says, he's such a nice guy. And I go, he is.
When he showers.
He's always like that, though. I mean, you always are, dude. And I appreciate that.
Thank you, man. Hey, appreciate you, man. We're wrapping up another episode of Bikes and Mics, man. Make sure you follow him one more time.
Timoteus Fo 70.
There it is, man. Bikes and Mics. Check out the next episode.